Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new series, albeit this is a stage from the Cooking with Carl video that you'll have just seen, or that should have just recently gone up. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go and have a look at that if you want to see what cooking while living the van life is like, although it's somewhat similar to the topic that we're going to be talking about today. We're taking advantage of the fact that at this campsite we're at, campsite, kind of just camping car site really if you want to call it that, is the fact that they have like a community kitchen. Now the reason why we're using this is it is so much bigger than the one that we have in the van. Now, obviously, that's what's going to happen. But in this video series, playlist, however you want to call it, we're basically going to be going through the pros and cons of living in a van. So the first one, which is the best place to describe it, given that we're here, is the fact that vans tend to have very small kitchens. And you get some of the really big ones, or like schoolies that you can get in America that have big kitchens because they have space for it, but just your normal under 3.5 ton van that most English people will end up getting, you can't have a big kitchen. Now for me, someone who loves cooking, that is a big con, but obviously we'll make it work in the future episodes of the Cooking with Carl, and you'll see like how we make that work basically. We have space for chopping board and everything, but here we just have so much open room. We've got a tap with hot water, we've got 5 ring burners on the hob, you know, it's so much more convenient. And it means when things are dirty, I can just put them in here, run some hot water over them and instantly sanitize them because the water here is boiling hot. Like, you don't want to touch it boiling hot. So, it's useful. So yeah, basically it's one thing to think about when you're going to be going into the van life, or if you're already in there and maybe you've just started. If you ask any van lifer that enjoys cooking like I do, is the con is not having a big kitchen. You can get around it, as you'll see with the Cooking with Carl playlist, but yeah, it can be a big issue. Most of the time you make it work, but when you can find places like this, it's brilliant because you get so much more space and it lets people like me enjoy cooking again.
So the pro in today's video is going to be heating. The comparison of heating the van to heating a house is, you can't compare them. For example, this little heater we've got going, it's just an electric fan heater, as you can see. It's got a heat dial and it's got some fan settings. It's very basic. This is doing nothing to this room. It barely heats the tiny little corner that I'm set up in. It's a bit pathetic. But however, when you put that in the van, and you get it working in the van. Granted, it still takes a little bit of time, but it gets the van nice and toasty before too long. And it's if you're at a campsite and you're already paying for electricity, it's perfect. Additionally, in the van, as many of you will have seen, we also have the diesel heater, which is a 5 kilowatt heater. It's pretty efficient with fuel. It does us pretty right, especially with, in Spain, the fuel is so cheap. It costs us next to nothing, and that thing is a beast. We'll turn it on 5-10 minutes after it's, spooled up and heated itself up. We're toasty in no time. In fact, we often end up turning it off or turning it right down to just, not be too hot. Which again relates back to the price, to the cost. The cost of running that thing isn't much at all. It barely costs anything. The heater, obviously if we're already paying for power, it's essentially free and we'd be fools not to use it. And it gives us a bit of wiggle room as well for how we want to heat the van. Granted, it's far too powerful to run off the batteries, but again, diesel heater covers our back there. If you compare those costs to, the amount that you pay for heating a house with central heating and such, again, you just can't compare it. So it's a massive pro, whoops, nearly slipped. It's a massive pro to the van life is keeping yourself toasty and warm is not a problem. And also, I don't want to miss out the fact that if you just buy some warm clothes, I'm wearing a fleece right now, I've got a jumper, and I'm wearing some joggers, right there. I'm snug as a bug. Even in here where it's a bit cool, with that little fan facing pretty much directly at me, I stay nice and warm. And again, back in the van where most of the heating is, going on because we're not often in buildings like this. It's just brilliant. So if you wear the right clothes and you're smart with how you figure out your heating, it can be so cost efficient, cost effective even, and you can just stay warm without any problems. It's great.